Welcome everyone. Welcome to Healing Circle Talks. I'm Dimple Parmar, host for your today's session, and we have a very special guest with us, Neerja ji. Very excited to talk to her about the entire journey and the wonderful work that she has been doing in the field. So before we begin the circle, allow me to read the guidelines. Healing circles are safe havens. They are built on the foundation of kindness and respect. We all participants agree to listen to each other with compassion and curiosity. We honor each other's unique ways of healing and don't presume to advise or fix or try to save each other. We hold all the stories shared in the circle within us, and we trust that each of us has guidance we need within us, and we rely on the power of silence to access it. Thank you so much once again. And today we have with us Neerja ji. Neerja Malik is a cancer counselor, inspirational speaker, global cancer ambassador, and author of the book called I Inspire. Definitely her journey inspires me a lot. She likes to call herself a breast cancer conqueror rather than a survivor. She started the Apollo Cancer Support Group on 8th March 2004 and inaugurated the Pollachi Cancer Support Group on 2nd February 2018. Her vast experience as a social worker and a teacher in various schools honed her skills and prepared her to achieve what she always wanted to do. She has been counseling patients with cancer and their family members and caregivers for 21 years with unbridled passion and dedication. In this regard, she was invited by Department of State, the USA, to participate in the first ever IVLP International Visitors Leadership Program in breast cancer in October 2008. That's wonderful. She has discovered that she leads by example because she firmly states, I can do it, so can you. And just amazing. So thank you so much, Neerja ji, for agreeing to join us in this today's talk. And previously when you were the speaker here, I heard great things about you, and many of the participants who couldn't join at that time requested for the another session, and thank you so much for that. So Neerja ji, would love to hear from you how your journey began, and anything that you think that will help patients who are currently going through the journey, because you can definitely relate to it a lot. You have been doing it for more than 2 decades.
Well, it's so wonderful to hear from you and to hear you rather than hear about you. So Annie has been wonderful telling me lovely things about you, and I'm so glad that finally we are face to face. So the first thing I have to tell you is that I am so happy that you started with these wonderful rules, because life is wonderful, but there is always a framework within which we should work, and which, if we have a framework or a boundary, then it helps us to maintain the right kind of spirit to grow, bloom and flower in it. And I'm so happy to hear you introduce such a wonderful session with your wonderful words. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And we learned in fact, these guidelines are being shared by so the entire concept of healing circle started from US, when where my husband was getting treated from cancer. So after he passed away, I was introduced to a beautiful cancer support group by Commonweal. So they started this healing circles 20 years ago, when they have gone through the cancer journey, and there are different kind of support groups for patients, for caregivers, activity-based support, cancer healing circles where we like to heal. There's circles on grieving, there's circles on healing and different things. So these are the guidelines that actually set the tone of the circle, that here we are to listen to each other, not really imposing. And I think these also help us in understanding why we are here, what we are doing. So I learned it from them. So happy to know that you liked it.
I appreciate it a lot. And when I begin, I would like to begin with the divinity in me bows down to the divinity in all of you. And if Annie is listening in, Annie, please put me back on your group so that if there's some lovely comments by the wonderful people here, I can get to see them myself.
Definitely, I will do that.
So, do you have any questions to ask me? How would you like me to proceed?
So, Neerja ji, two things we can do. One is you can begin with your own journey and the vibrancy, the positivity, the brightness that I see on your face today, secret behind that. Yeah, because there are many more who are going through this journey, and just that I heard you for last 3-4 minutes, and I'm sure that this session is going to help them a lot because I can totally see the difference right from the beginning. So I'll request you to start from your journey and then correlating it with how your journey has evolved by working with other patients and other caregivers and survivors, conquerors. Sorry, my mistake. Conquerors, right?
That is so beautiful. Thank you so much. And what I would like to share is that today is a very special day for me. Because today, 24 years back, was the rather major surgery that I went through for left breast cancer when my twins were only 7 years old. And I went through, as I can tell you, and as you may know, that each of us goes through trauma when we are diagnosed with something. I did too. And someone would say, and I do get asked, you're so positive, you believe so much in God. Did it happen after cancer? And I said, no, I am exactly what I was before. There is no difference, except that what has happened is that God made me, learn a lot of things in the university of life. And those experiences, it is so beautiful, have helped me, face my journey, my parents, my family, my friends, and just kind of guided me along the way. So, what is the happiest thing in my life? The happiest joy that I have in life is that I am doing what I love to do and have been doing for the last 24 years. And yes, I was diagnosed on Friday, the 13th of February, 1998. And it didn't come as a shock. Well, the diagnosis did come as a shock because it happened to me for the first time. But in my family, in 3 generations, we have about 40 cases of cancer. So on the one hand, one is perhaps prepared that such a thing is a possibility. And on the other hand, when it hits you, you obviously go through your personal strife with it. And I remember running to my father and saying, Papa, I'm going to fight cancer. And 24 years back, he turned to me, and mind you, he retired as a naval officer from the Indian Army. Then he was working with Merchant Navy. And he turned to me, this captain of the ship, this warrior, this soldier, this Aryan. He turned to me and he said, Beta, why are you using the word fight? Fight is a negative word. So why don't you just say, face it? And that made such an impact on my existence. And I promise you, I know for a fact that these same words which I use continuously in and out make a difference in a lot of other lives also. Because imagine when I say fight, what happens when you use the word fight? I want to kill someone or I want to revenge. It's negative. Whereas when I say face, वो नजरिया बदल जाता है. The entire way that you're looking at things changes. And when you're facing it, there is hope and there is, something to look forward to. After all, if you think of life and you think of cancer as a little interruption and you face it in exactly the way as you do the daily ups and downs and difficulties of life, then that would change your very way of looking at it. Now, when you change your way of looking at it, you will automatically change the way you feel about it. When you change the way of feeling about it, you will automatically act, not react. So I think all these things, the experience with time and the exposure to so many cancer patients, thousands, millions, for the last 24 years, has given me so many inputs, insights into how the mind, the body, the spirit, the emotions, the thoughts can act, not react in the worst of situations. So when I talk to people, I just tell them one thing, considering that my job is counseling. It's a profession that I'm very proud to be in, counseling cancer patients. And it doesn't stop with the cancer patients. It also carries on with their family members. It carries on with the people who work for them. It carries on with their friends. I remember once I got a desperate call from a lady and she said, Neerja, do you counsel family members also? I said, of course. And I could feel the relief. She said, thank God. I said, what happened? She said, you are the 12th call I've made. I've called up cancer support groups. I've called up all kinds of support groups. And the minute I say, excuse me, do you counsel the family members of cancer patients? And I said, no, we just counsel cancer patients. But then just as you have Neerja Malik, or you have any human, any individual, what are the things that contain or are contained in a human being? Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. So when all these things come forward and I'm talking to someone, it is these different parts of me that come forward into the world. And it is these parts that coexist, that communicate, that interact with those parts of other human beings. And I'm sure you understand how wonderful vibrations are. In the good old days, we never had telephones or televisions or cell phones or Zoom or video calls. We depended mainly on telepathy. We could feel the sadness of our parents. We could feel the joy of our friends, depending on what we were going through. As I felt being away in London when I lost my aunt, who was only 5 years older, to blood cancer. As I could feel when I knew that something terrible has happened and my father is going to be operated upon, and I called up Bombay, where they lived, and I told my sister, I want to speak. How is Dad? She said, he's fine. And I said, I had a terrible nightmare. I could visualize him in the hospital. I could feel the waves. I could hear it, the ocean, next to Ashwini in Bombay. And she said, oh God, what was your dream? I said that he's getting operated and he's not going through something. I need to talk to him. And she said, drama queen, etc. He came up and he spoke to me. And what I want to tell you is that he was in the car with his backpack on his way to the hospital for a major surgery. Now, how did I get to know? Vibrations. And they didn't want to tell me because I was far away. They didn't want to worry me. But darlings, why am I telling you all this? If there is a cancer patient in your midst, a family member, a friend, remember that not only in front of them do you have to put up a brave face, a facade. Haha, sab theek hai. Oh, you're doing great, you're looking so good. The actual thing is, share the joys, share the treatment, share the diagnosis, talk, communicate. When that happens, the person and you feel lighter. There's so many times when a patient's family have come into the ICU and they come into the ICU and their looks are, yes, you're doing so good. You'll soon be out of here, talking like this. And the minute they leave the ICU and they go out, what do? They beat their chests and they cry, and the pain and the sorrow comes out. Tell me, dears, you think that a wall is good enough to keep the vibrations of that pain and sorrow out? No. So what do I tell them? I tell them, instead of crying, instead of feeling sad, instead of tearing up, please use the same time to pray, to send positive thoughts, because those will uplift your patient. Those are the ones that will strengthen your patient. And those are the ones that will be most meaningfully positive for the patient.
Right. In fact, very well said, Neerja ji, because and these are the things that ideally we want to, but as you understand that when somebody who is at stage 4 and though they want to be in the peace and not really think about the prognosis, but this is the only thing that they think always. And जब पेशेंट्स को जब केयर गिवर को पता होता है कि हाँ ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं बचा है, ऐसा डॉक्टर्स ने बोला है, एंड ऑन टॉप ऑफ इट द ट्रीटमेंट एक्सपेंसेस आर अ लॉट स्टेज 4, उसके साथ में यू नो दैट it can happen, after 6 months my loved one might die because that's what doctor has told me, or maybe the prognosis is not good because that is what I have seen with other community members. So during that time, we also know few things are easy to say but very difficult to do. No matter how much I know that yes, healing, positive thoughts, etc. is important, but in that time मेरे को वो नहीं समझ आता है, and I'm like all the time running. So उस वक्त आपके हिसाब से caregivers को क्या करना चाहिए, patients को क्या करना चाहिए, दोनों help?
Of course. Now the wonderful thing is कि आप मेरे साथ बात कर रहे हो, so you are talking, you're getting a benefit of 3 sides. You're getting a benefit of views from the patient, you're getting the benefit of a cancer counselor, and you're also getting the benefit of a caregiver. Why? Because my dada, my dadi, my father, my 2 puas, my 2 masis, many cousins, we've all gone through this. Most of them are not around us. But this is what I did. And I can only talk of my experience. So I was told by the doctors that you are stage 4, that you have only 25% chances of survival, that survival is not going to happen in India. You have to go to France or to America, because in those days in 98 they had started stem cell research and they wanted to pack me off. And I wept for 3 days. And you would say, why did I weep? Did I weep for myself? Was I scared of death? No, I wasn't. I was 44 years old. But my twins who I'd had when I was 36, they were only 7, a girl and a boy. And so I was weeping more for them, that what will happen to them if anything happens to me? And 3 days of crying, never in front of them, because they were too young to understand what their mother is going through. In front of them, I had, you know, the smile, the look, the hugs, the kisses. Finally, on the 3rd day, a very simple idea came to me. Enlightenment, tube light. That did God come down? And did God tell me, Ulti ginti shuru kar, your days are numbered? That was the thought that occurred to me 3 days after the event. And what happened then? After all, a doctor who has explained the so-called death sentence or the death knell, he's also a human. And I have immense and intense belief in God. So I dried my tears. No more tears shampoo. I love that name. And what did I do? I picked up a goal. My goal was that I am going to live for my twins. After that, in 98, I was again diagnosed with cancer in 2004, the year I started my support group. And because I've already gone through it, because it's a high risk, because it runs in the family, Tata Memorial in Bombay said that there are 2 families that come to them with monotonous regularity. One was our family and one was a Gujarati family. In those days, I'm talking about the early 50s, when we realized that this is what is happening to our family. And that, I need to tell you one thing, that I'm sitting here in front of you because in these 24 years of counseling, I started counseling, by the way, the same year, in December of the same year that I was diagnosed. What have I learned in these 24 years? I have learned that a lot of it, and I'm not going to make a broad statement, because even if we have 10 cases of breast cancer, the body weight is the same. The tumor is the same. The medication, therefore, because of the ratio of the body weight and the medication, is the same. Everything is the same. But what is different? The mind, the emotions, the mental strength, the positive thoughts, that is different in every human being. So what happens is that when 10 people, 10 women with the same diagnosis of so many nodes, 9 nodes, positive in the armpit, a big tumor in the breast, and, prognosis bad. 3 people out of those 10 ladies will die on the spot. And not because of cancer. They will die with the fear of cancer. False emotions appearing real. Fantasized experiences appearing real. So 3 लोग तो वैसे ही गए, भय से भय, fear. It's like when you are walking on the road and you see something. If you are scared, that something which could be a rope will appear to you like a snake. But if you're not scared, you will see the rope in reality as only the rope it is. And you will even kick it. So what does it boil down to? It boils down to the fact that how you look at something is how you act, not react. You face it, not fight it. You look it in the eye. You don't brush it under the carpet. You accept that you are going through it. And you said, okay, these are the things, SDPA, study, diagnosis, plan of action. There is a circle. You are the point within the circle. And all these things are occurring to you and pressing down on you and burdening you and pushing you down. So you just pick up the pencil from the center of that circle, which is you, take it out. Step outside the circle. Look at this circle of all the troubles, the good points and the bad points, the sad, sorrowing points and the joyous, happy points. And then you say, all right. Because if I'm Neerja and I'm within it, I am going to get pushed under. If I'm Neerja and I'm out of it, looking in, acha, okay, she's been diagnosed with cancer. I have been diagnosed with cancer. Now, what do I do? How do I react? How do I act? I study the situation. I go to a hospital because I felt, no one diagnosed me. I felt a lump. And first I thought that the lump was only because I had strained myself. I used to be obsessively compulsive about aerobics. And I said, "Ha, maine kiya hoga." But, and I forgot about it. I felt it twinge, chuban. I felt it on the 12th of February, 98. Sorry, I felt it on the 2nd of February, 98, a chuban. And I touched where the pain was, the discomfort was, and there was a little swelling. And I said, oh, this is a strain. You know, you give yourself excuses. There's nothing to it, theek ho jayega. I must have overdone my exercises. I remember the date because it was my father's birthday, 2nd of February. 10 days later on the 12th, and this is where belief in God comes in. I felt the same chuban, the same feeling. Now, had I not felt it, I may not have bothered about it. So I feel that this was God's way of alerting me. And I felt it. And I got the shock of my life. Because where that was a peace size on the 2nd of February, in 10 days' time, it was large. And that got me worried because of my family history. And I rang up the hospital. And they said, there's no doctor here. It was 4 or 5 in the evening. They said, there's no doctor here. And come to us tomorrow. I said, no, I'm coming right now. And you better find a doctor. And then the next step was, the doctor and his assistant did a thorough checkup. And they asked me about mammograms and things. I had a mammogram. They said, when? I said, I don't know. And the minute, now this is something that I want to make a point of. Thankfully, nowadays, everything is digitalized. But in 98, you got a film for a mammogram. And what did I do? I chucked it. So when they said, when did you get it done? I said, I don't remember. Then I said, oh, but I got it done in this hospital. If you get me your logbook, I'll find it. My signature is there. And I discovered that I had done it on the 17th of April, 1997. Now, why was I told to do it? Because 21st of November, 95, my uterus and ovaries were removed. Because for 2 years, I thought I was pregnant. I kept having what I thought was premature miscarriages, which I had plenty before the twins were born. I had a lot of premature, uncountable premature miscarriages. Then I lost pregnancy, 2nd month, 4th month, 6th month. I had a stillborn in the 8th month. And then my twins were born 2 months and 5 days premature. I was in a hospital, a nursing home for more than a month with a blood pressure of 270 by 140. Imagine the twins were inside. I was having Depen, I was having Aldomet, all kinds of blood pressure medicines. And every hour on the hour, the nurses and the doctors, regardless ke din hai ke raat hai, they would come and take the fetal heartbeat every hour. Can you imagine how much I would have slept during that period? And one side, whoop, I could feel it. For more than a month, to be 4th of June 1990 to the 5th of July 1990, when I went into labor, they were supposed to come on the 9th of September. I was rushed from the nursing home to Breach Candy Hospital. Cesarean was done. They were taken, put into 2 incubators. 1 incubator stopped working. They were rushed to, Just Slope, because Breach Candy didn't have, in those days, a neonatal clinic. So I've gone through a lot. And what I feel has helped me through is immense faith in God, immense love and affection from the family and friends, and an immense feeling that because I am made in the image of God, it is my birthright to be happy and to accept everything that comes my way, so that I can step out and be a better, stronger version of myself. So you're right. It is difficult to reach a point when you think that everything is lost. And it's easy to say things. But the way that I have gone through things, it wasn't easy. But at every point, there was an answer. Acha, why don't you look at it this way? When I lost my 8-month baby within me, lovely child, my mother and I were the only ones who held her. She was taken away from me. I looked out of the window. I was sad. There was a void. I was feeling empty. And then guess what happened? I thought that these 8 months in my life were the most beautiful 8 months. I was so joyously connected to the soul within me. And from sorrow and sadness, suddenly, there was a feeling of immense gratitude. Hey Bhagwan, these 8 months have been the best of my life. Now, when you have that attitude of gratitude, you open up. You become receptive to ideas. And if you are receptive, God and the universe will make sure that something will occur to you, some seed of an idea. And guess what seed got planted in my mind, in my heart, in my soul? that I'm so lucky that this soul that was within me for 8 months actually had only 8 months to live in the form of a fetus. And after that, nirvana, liberation, moksha. So what did I do? I changed the way of looking at something, which could have made me very bitter, which could have made me angry, upset, frustrated. But what did I do? Automatically, because I was open, I thanked God for those 8 months. I felt lucky that she was within me for those 8 months only because she was going to feel and be one at the lotus feet of the Lord. So these are the things that I want to spread, that whatever happens to you, down, out and under. And by the way, it didn't stop there. 2018, I had septicemia 3 times. And because my arms, I've had breast cancer in both breasts. My arms could not be used after 2004 for either withdrawal of blood or insertion of IVs or injections. So what happened? From 98 to 2004, everything was done out of my right arm, my right veins. Then after I was diagnosed with breast cancer on this side also, everything was done from the veins in my feet, blood withdrawal. And I did need PET scans and so on and so forth. वो तो अब तक भी चलता है. But finally, when septicemia came along, and I needed 210 IVs over 10 weeks, separated by 10 days. What happened? They had to use my jugular vein. So I've been through a lot, but every time, one day at a time, just one day at a time. And during that day, there is so much of stuff that I did. You know, no one knew that from Feb of 2018 to about August of 2018, I was very unwell. But every day I would get up and I would see, I've done so much of stuff since 2008 when I was in America, and a Turkish friend who is part of the International Visitors Leadership Program, she started Facebook for me. And I'm eternally grateful to Faiza, because there's so many people who tell me, ma'am, we just opened Facebook to see what you are up to, what you're doing. So all those months, I would wake up. I have done so much that I would just press share button of 2-3 things that I did, and I would go back to sleep, because every 6 hours I was being given IVs, whether it was day or night, no one cared. So I got these IVs in my jugular, which, by the way, bacteria collects. Some nurses would do it wrong and it would pop out. This had to be punctured again. So they gave me every 6 hours for 2 weeks. I was fine for 10 days, and then the same thing happened. I gave my test, spoke to the doctor, and she said, you know, it's not even 18 hours. Culture takes a long time. The bacteria has spread in your blood. Get into the hospital. I don't care which hospital, I don't care which doctor. Go now. So 2 weeks of 6-hourly injections, 10 days of joy and happiness, back to the grind. Another 2 weeks of 8 hours stronger medication. Here, again 10 days of peace, happiness, and joy. And the third time, back to the grind. Same words. Get yourself into hospital right now. And then the doctor said, sorry, 2 weeks is not enough. So then they said they will give you every 8 hours injections day and night for 6 weeks. And that is how I recovered from septicemia 3 times. So yes, the possibility of overcoming and getting through everything is with the human mind, because it's not a joke when they say mind over matter. And India is such a wonderful place. How did I think of my little one? I still call her little one. She passed away on the 23rd of July, 1987. I remember the date. Well, how do you answer the fact that I could have been bitter, miserable, angry, frustrated, all those horrible things. But because that idea came to me that these were the happiest times of my life, that I'm so lucky she needed only 8 months. And I changed another thing. And this is all thanks to our Hindu philosophy. The twins turned 40 days. They were born on the 5th of July, 1990, when they were supposed to be born on the 9th of September of that year. And they were rushed from one hospital to the other. I followed 5 days later, highly traumatic again. Went home after 28 days or so. My mother set up a preemie room. I had professional nurses every 12 hours to look after them. And what was their weight? I was 100 kgs. My son was 1 kg, 600 grams. And my daughter was 1 kg. And after birth, they lose weight. So my son became 1 kg. My daughter became 875 grams. I was 100 because my uterus didn't know that, she's delivered, so you start shrinking and all that. The twins were taken out courtesy of cesarean. We went home into this room, 40th day. My mother had a little, the Granth Sahib was taken out, and I came out of my room with the twins for the first time and put them in front. There were only 4 or 5 women, cousins, sister, in-laws. That's it. Somehow, because my immunity was also low, I got high temperature of 105 degrees. And now this is it. What could they do? First of all, there were two gynecologists, 2 pediatricians. There was always about 10 doctors outside. And the pediatrician said that the twins should be with the mother. And the gynac said, no, if she lifts them to feed them, the fever will go to them and they cannot even be in the same room. So I hope you understand the situation. And then they made me remove all my clothes. So it wasn't cold compress on my forehead or my neck or my hands or my feet. towels, huge towels were being put into buckets of ice and smacked on my body. I was made to lie down on my side so that there was more body to put these towels on in front, back. My mother's job was to keep slapping my face so that I don't go to sleep, because if I go to sleep, I'll go into a coma. And in all this, as soon as the cold towels would hit my body, I would shriek, hot body, cold. And my twins would yell. And this carried on. Answer. I said to myself, I'm born in India, where all the sages, all the saints believe that I am not the body. I am the soul, and the soul feels nothing. And you know what I started doing? For the sake of my children, so that they don't cry hearing me shriek, I started psyching myself. I am not the body. I am the soul, and the soul feels me. Repeat, drill. I stopped feeling the cold towels on my body. Now, I knew what my thinking was, but no one around me did, not my mother. So I stopped reacting. I stopped screaming. My children stopped screaming. And my mother started crying. She slapped my face harder, thinking that I'm falling asleep. She said, Bubby, don't get up, ucha, ucha. And then she's crying, and her hot tears are falling on my face. And I don't know how to explain to her that, Mom, I'm there, I'm not going anywhere. And she said, get up. And I said, I am not the body. I am the soul. And the soul feels nothing. She slapped me harder. And she's crying. She said, you can't leave your children and go away. I didn't have the energy to tell her, hey, I'm not going nowhere, I'm here. But I'm psyching myself. Of course, one doctor came with an injection and to cut long. It was the 15th of August. So it was Prohibition Day. So all the ice from 3 buildings and a hotel were available. Truckloads of ice came. My room was like a talab, like a pond. And finally, the fever subsided with some injections I was given. I was lifted and taken to the bathroom, made to sit on a stool. They put on the shower, tepid water on me, and I became all right. But I went through a lot. And it's God's grace that I'm sharing all this with you. And forget me going through a lot. What about my mother? All the broken bones, all the surgeries, cancer twice, everything. So I guess each human being has a spark. And if that spark is connected or linked with the divinity up above, anything can happen, anything is possible. I have firm faith and belief in that. And what is my book about? 10 treasures. Now listen carefully. The first treasure is love. Second, fun and laughter. Third, God. Fourth, faith. Fifth, miracles, because miracles happen if you have faith and belief in God. Sixth, death. Death is also important because it teaches us acceptance. And then when we accept, we have an attitude of gratitude, which brings about abundance, after which we can live And so one lives, one learns, one spreads the good word, one is there for anyone 24/7. When I was in America, the Department of State took us around to 6 cities. We participated in a lot of talks. We even participated in the Run for the Cure Susan Komen Foundation. We did a lot. There were 15 of us from different countries for 21 days for the first ever international leadership program on breast cancer in the month of October 2008. And one of those places, I remember standing up and saying, because they have different roles, counselor, they call it patient navigator, they call it social worker, they call it whatever, so many things. And I said, all right. And what happens after hours? And they said, oh, we have 1,800. And I said, really? Do you know something? I am 1,800. I am your liaison officer, I am your social worker, I am your cancer counselor. I am 1,800 because I make it very clear to my patients that I am available 24/7. Because it is at night when everyone is asleep that those thoughts go around in our brain like worms. And you need someone, then I'm there. And I tell them, call me up. It'll take me 2 minutes, 20 minutes, 2 hours. I will talk to you. I will explain things to you. And you will sleep well. I will sleep well. You haven't disturbed your family. You are at peace. And you can face the next day in a better way. So live and learn. There's so many examples, so many experiences that have taught me things which I have passed on. Experiences with patients. Where, for instance, one lady was getting her mastectomy done at 82. And her son was very upset. He told me. He said, can you please come and meet her? I said, sure. I went to meet her. She was from Oman. Her name was Shuni. So I told her, I said, would you like to talk to me? And she said, she was having the loose motions. And she was running to the loo continuously. She looked at me and she said, my surgery is at 7 in the morning. Can you come at 6? I said, of course. I was there at 6. I held her hand. I was allowed into the outer area of the OT because the doctors and everyone realized that my presence made a difference to the patients, and then they found it easier to deal with their patients and do the surgery. I was standing, she was on a stretcher, I was standing above her, and her hands were moving like this. And I turned to her and I said, let us pray. She looked at me and I held her hands. I shut her eyes. I knew she was a Muslim. So I just started chanting very softly, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. I said it for about 10 minutes. Her face, the expression on her face kept changing till finally her hands had stopped shaking and she was at peace. I stopped speaking. She rested for a bit, just in the ambience of the beautiful words She opened her eyes and she looked at me and she said, "You are Muslim?" And I said, "Yes." Because to me, it makes no difference whether I'm a Hindu or a Muslim or a Christian or a Jew or a Sikh or anything. But to her, she felt as if a messenger of Allah had come. She sailed into her surgery beautifully. And to top it all, she even had a pacemaker. So they had to put some magnetic, I don't know, the way the doctors did it, to keep that pacemaker going. And they did a mastectomy. She came out, she recovered very fast, and she went back to her country. So there are a million examples like this. But the fact of the matter is that if there is a war and there are two armies fighting, then that army that is better prepared is the one that will win. So this is just a sharir, a body. The body is a machine. So if I laugh a lot, I am enjoying life, I'm enjoying others' company, I'm enjoying my patients, I'm enjoying my family, I'm enjoying nature, I'm enjoying everything. What happens? My body just creates. And what will it create? Happy hormones or endorphins.
Well, yeah.
Now, when I am negative, and I'm complaining and I'm fighting and I'm wishing everyone ill and all those negative things, my body just creates. And what will it create? Toxins. Now, if there is a fight between my body, between the toxins and the happy hormones or the endorphins, which will win? The one there is more of. So laughter is the best medicine and keeps you going. I tell my patients, I tell everyone, forget patients. Think of whatever you're going through, not just cancer, broken bone, broken heart, love failure, finance problems, anything. Think of what you're going through is only a word. Cancer is only a word, nothing more, nothing less. If I talk about a cup, a pen, cell phone, table, do I break into beads of sweat? No. Cancer, oh my God. और ये सदियों से आ रहा है. Yes, 100 years back I can understand. 50 years back, but look, I went through cancer in 98 and then again in 2004. What a difference. पहले तो I just had a surgery. In 2004, I had a microsurgery. You know, with my doctor had those binocs. I had a chemotherapy which I vomited continuously in 98. In 2004, I didn't vomit even once. Because not only did science, medication, everything improve, so did the drugs that were used to prevent the side effects of the chemotherapy. And radiation, in my time, both the times, I just had cobalt. And now you can go shopping for radiation, targeted, you know, different types. My God. I've stopped even comprehending the latest being proton, cyberknife, and there were so many, this target, that target, IMRT, whatever. So there is progress. And because of the progress, things are improving. Yes, cancer is curable in the early stages, but it's curable also when you have the power to use your mind
Very true.
and your emotions over your matter.
Great. Thank you.
So, oops. I can speak for another couple of hours quite happily.
And Radha auntie is asking your contact details, so I will share your number with her. Yeah.
Please give my number to anyone and everyone.
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for
Hello,
this.
Radha ji.
Hi.
अरे अनुराधा, कैसे हैं आप? How are you?
बढ़िया हूँ। आपको सुन के ना मुझे बहुत सारी अपनी जर्नी याद आ रही थी और इतने गूज़बम्स हो रहे थे, मतलब आई कुड रिलेट एवरीथिंग ना। बहुत बहुत अच्छा लगा। मतलब आपकी सफरिंग तो बहुत ज्यादा थी एज कम्पेयर टू माइन। थैंक गॉड कि मेरे को भगवान ने बहुत अच्छे उससे निकाल दिया समय से, कि कम तकलीफों के साथ। बट आपसे कनेक्ट होना बहुत अच्छा लगा है मुझे, और मैं आपसे कनेक्टेड ही रहूंगी। बहुत सारी चीजों में आपसे हेल्प भी चाहिए होगी। वुड लव टू कनेक्ट विद यू। और अमेजिंग 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 स्टोरी थी आपकी, मतलब टू इंस्पायरिंग।
God is great. मेरी जो मंत्रा है ना, God is great. God is great. This too shall pass, one day at a time.
Yeah.
These are the few mantras that take me through life. In fact, I will send my positive thoughts, which can be shared with all of you. The 20 very simple ones. Every day in every way, I'm better and better. Little things, God is great. And I'll share them. And they have given me so much of strength. Ab फिर रात को नींद नहीं आती है. But if you say these, they go into your brain. So you don't even need a paper after reading it 5-6 times. और आजकल तो पेपर को छोड़ो. WhatsApp Zindabad. So you read it a couple of times and then you put it aside, and 7th, 8th, 10th thought.
Exactly the same thing. मेरे साथ भी बिल्कुल, मतलब we are riding in the same boat. I can sense sailing in the boat.
We are a family. We're all in it together for the fun.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the lovely session, Dimple.
Yeah.
And you almost made it sound like, we were sitting through a story and you were the storyteller. I'm sure it was like everybody was listening to it with pin drop silence and totally glued to, listening to you. Really. And you truly are an inspiration, with or without cancer. I mean, it's everybody should hear you, even to go through and deal with our daily ups and downs of life. You are such an inspiration. Thank you so much.
दिल से देखो, अपने आप से इश्क होता है ना. When you're in love with yourself, you love everyone. Then it extends to पेड़ पौधे, जिंदगी, all of you into my circle. But the best, the ultimate is the one above. तो बस वही हमारी नैया कर रहा है और हम चलते जा रहे हैं. Whether it's आग or दरिया or whatever, God is great.
Thank you. It's very inspiring.
You people are doing a wonderful job connecting like-minded people, sharing stories, giving hope, giving encouragement, and God bless your endeavor always. Thank you so much for having me over. बार लगातार, I'm there at your disposal whenever you want me.
Thank you so much, Neerja ji, and it was wonderful hearing you, knowing about your journey, and I'm very, very grateful to connect with you here, listening to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless everyone.
And yeah, looking forward to meeting you in Healing Circle next Saturday. Thank you. Bye.